Hello guys. Okay, your second brain. My students tell me after they learn about the vastness of their brain, they have a whole new sense of worth, that their self-esteem grows overnight. Here's more. Here's more good news. You are not limited to just one brain. You have a second, your gut. Have you ever had a gut feeling, that moment when you just knew if you ever gone with your gut to make a decision or felt butterflies in your stomach? Did you ever wonder why that was? Hidden in the walls of the digestive system, this brain in your gut is revolutionizing medicine's understanding of the links between digestion, mood, health, and even the way you think. Scientists call this little brain the encentric nervous system, ENS, and it's not a little. The ENS is two thin layers of more than 100 million nerve cells lining your gastrointestinal tract from esophagus to rectum. Science is only beginning to understand the brain-gut axis and how it affects our brains, our moods, and our behavior. You may hear it referred to as the brain-gut connection. In the last decade, we've discovered that the gut has an outsized effect on the way our brains function. One can liken it to the way a tree functions. The roots in the ground are drawing up vital nutrients and water from the soil, as well as communicating with other plants. Those nutrients are then brought up into the body of a tree, fortifying and building the trunk and giving the tree what it needs to sprout new leaves each spring, which in turn gather light, another energy source. In the same way, the nutrients we take in are absorbed through our intestines. We rely on those nutrients to fuel our brain. While our brains take up very little of our total body weight, they use 20% of the energy we take in. So nutrients make a huge difference in the way our brains function on a day-to-day basis. The gut is lined with more than 100 million nerve cells, and it makes up a part of the ENS. When a baby grows in the womb, the ENS and the CNS develop from the same tissue and remain connected via the vagus nerve. In many ways, the two systems mirror each other in structure. They also both use many of the same neurotransmitters to function, including serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine. As with CNS, we used to believe that we are each born with a certain amounts of cells and that's it. But like the brain, we now know the ENS makes new neurons through our adulthood and can be repaired when damaged. The gut is made up of these neurons as well as a network of bacteria that form the microbiome. And as with the brain, each of us has our own unique microbiome. What's more, these nerve cells operate through startlingly similar pathways as the brain. In 2010, neuroscientist Diego Borges of Duke University discovered that the endocrine cells of the gut had foot-like protrusions that resemble the synapses that nerves use to communicate. This caused Borges to wonder if these cells could talk to the brain using signals similar to the way neurons do. He hypothesized that if this were happening, they would have to be using a vagus nerve which connected the gut and the brain system. After further testing, they discovered that the cells do in fact use the vagus nerve to take up messages and send them to the brain faster than could be done via the bloodstream. Team effort. The connection between the brain and the gut is still being explored, but it seems that they function in very similar ways and that they function in tandem. The little brain, in conjunction with the big one, partly determines our mental health. When you have a gut feeling that something isn't right, or conversely that you should follow a hunch, it's not just superstition. Your gut has its own way of interpreting events and giving your brain signals. Furthermore, when you feed your gut with subpar food, you're also feeding your brain with subpar fuel. Right now, your gut is digesting the food you just ate and sending that fuel to your brain. At the same time, a part of your brain is taking in the feel of the pages under your fingerprints or your e-reader, if that's your preference, sensing the comfort of the chair supporting you and monitoring the environment around you to make sure you're safe. Another part of your brain is taking in the smells of the environment, maybe coffee or perfume or the scent of the book's pages. Another part of your brain is absorbing the word symbols on the page of this book and turning them into meaning, which is then processed and stored in short-term memory, where it will then be sent to long-term memory under the right conditions, which we'll get to it in a moment. All of this is to say that you have the ultimate superpower between your ears. You also have the ability to hone that superpower and make it greater, or to let it falter and decay. You get to decide on what kind of environment your superpower lives in, one that supports your mission in life or that distracts you from your greatest dreams. The elusive obvious. Given that we have this tremendous power of our minds available to us, why we are struggling? If your brain is indeed so magnificent, why Why are overload, distraction, forgetfulness, and feelings of inadequacy affecting us so much? How do we reconcile the fact that we have so much potential but have days where we can't remember a simple name or think our way out of a paper bag? The answer is so simple. It's almost elusive obvious. We were not taught how. Give a person an idea and you enrich their day. Teach a person how to learn and they can enrich their entire life. School is a great place to learn. There we're taught what to learn and what to think and what to remember, but there are few, if any, classes on how to learn, how to think, and how to remember. In this seminal book on education, Creative Schools, Sir Ken Robbins says one of my deepest concerns is that while education systems around the world are being reformed, many of these reforms are being driven by political and commercial interests that misunderstood how real people learn and how great schools actually work. As a result, they are damaging the prospects of countless young people. Sooner or later, for better or for worse, they will affect you and someone you know. My guess is that they have already affected you and everyone close to you. As you already know, my own experience with the education system was a complicated one, and I acknowledge that my circumstances were unusual. In reality though, even if I'd never had that fateful head trauma in kindergarten, I would probably have gotten much less out of my school education than was ideal. That's because very few schools anymore in the world have incorporated learning how to learn into their curriculums. They'll fill us with information. They'll expose us to great works of literature and to figures who change the course of civilization. They will test us, sometimes endlessly, to determine whether we can repeat back what they've taught us. But they won't get underneath all of this to teach us how to teach ourselves, to make enriching our minds, discovering new concepts, and truly absorbing what we learn, fundamental to our everyday lives. The only way to win is to learn faster than anyone else. Eric Royce. Okay. I realize this is not about placing the blame on the teachers who work hard to teach our children. In my opinion, teachers are some of the most caring, compassionate, and capable human beings in our society. In fact, my mother became a teacher after my brain injury because I was struggling so much and she wanted to help me and others like me. The problem lies in the outdated system in which teachers work. If Rip Van Winkle woke up from decades of summer, the only thing